Alright, so you might be aware of like text to image models that are available in the market. Among them, the most common ones are like Midjourney, which is like the leading text to image generation model. Then we have Dolly 2, which is by OpenAI. Then we have like Bing Image Creator. All these models are actually working on the concept of stable diffusion. So you might be wondering that if you can download and install a stable diffusion model locally onto your system. Well, the answer is yes, you can download and install an open source stable diffusion model.
So in this particular video, actually I will try to show you how to set up like stable diffusion locally into your system so that you can start generating images from textual prompts actually. Okay, and let's get started. First of all, we will install Git in our system. So I'll just type Git and download. So you will come here on this website, and here is the official website of Git. You can see right over here. So you need to download it for Windows. Yeah, 64-bit Git for Windows setup. So yeah, it will be done in a while. So now I need to check like which version of Python I'm using. Okay, so I'll say Python -- version inside of my command prompt. Yeah, it's 3.11.4, and let's see what's the latest that's on the web. Okay, Python. Yeah, if I go to downloads, like currently the version is Python 3.11.5. So if you are like up to 3.11, it's totally fine for you. So I'll tell you like how you can download and install the Python on your system. Okay, first of all, you need to click on this thing. You need to download the setup. So this one is the setup, you can see right over here. So I already have 3.11.4, so I'm not going to download like 3.11.5. They are pretty much the same. If you are like running 3.9, 3.10, so you need to update to the latest version, which is like 3.11 something. Okay, so my Python is installed. So what you need to do is you need to run the installer. So now you need to just click on whatever you want to do. I can just upgrade now. If you don't have already installed, it will say like install now. Okay, so now let's update it to the latest one. So that's fine. Make sure while installing you will receive a checkbox here like add Python to path. So make sure that you check that box. Okay, otherwise it won't be added to path and you won't be able to use Python inside of your system. So that's the important thing. Now what you need to do is you need to install stable diffusion onto your system. Okay, this is the repository which we need to fork for like installing the stable diffusion for us. The main interface would look like something like this, where you can generate image like text to image, image to image, extras, PNG info, and many other options. Okay, so for this you need a pretty much competent system, like having a GPU like 1080 would be fine, GTX 1080 or 1660, something like that. So my Python is successfully installed. I can just close this thing. Okay, so yeah, this is the repository which we will be using to actually install stable diffusion onto our system. Now we actually need to clone this repository. You remember we just downloaded this Git, so we need to actually install this first, because we will use this Git to actually clone that repository for us. Okay, so if you just click on next, yeah, next, that's fine. Just move on with the flow and install it onto your system. Okay, it will take a while to install the Git onto your system. Then we can clone the actual repository, which is this one. Yeah, it's done. Now what you need to do is just get this URL, open up CMD once again, and now we can give in a prompt like git clone and the URL of the repository, like this one. So if I just hit enter, so now it says like cloning into this thing. So it will take a while and it will be done for you. Okay, like this repository is now moving by the help of this package manager, which is Git, into your local system. Yeah, it's done. You can see right over here, it's now onto your system. So now once it is actually installed onto your system, you just need to move to the local disk C, onto the user, users and the user on which you installed your Git repository. If you just move down, so this is your repository. You can see right over here that all of these files are now available locally onto your system. That was something you needed to actually run this locally. So you can see that all of the files are here except of the models. The models are not here. You need to actually put in your models here in order to run them. Okay, the thing you downloaded is actually the UI for that models. So the models are available online. We will be downloading the models and then we will incorporate those models inside of the system. So now you need to actually go to this website, like which is huggingface.co. It is by Runway ML. We already saw Runway because it's actually amazing. So you can get the models and data sets from here. So this is really an amazing app. Okay, the link to this thing will be available in the description as well. The first thing is that you need to just sign up on the Hugging Face website. So you need to provide in with your email and then you need to just provide a password. Okay, now we will see how to get this model inside of your UI so you can use that. Okay, so to get the model, if you just scroll down a little bit, so you can see that there are two models. Okay, the first one is like 4.27 GB and the second one is like 7.7 GB. Like they are pretty much similar in the working, but the major difference is like you can see the first one, it uses like EMA only weights, uses less VRAM and suitable for inference. Okay, second one uses like EMA plus non-EMA weights, uses more VRAM and suitable for fine tuning. So the models you get from Hugging Face, they are actually designed differently to adapt to different conditions. You don't need to worry about the differences between two. We will discuss it later on as well. So for now, let's just download this thing. Okay, so it will just take a while. So I will be back when it's done. All right, so now as you can see, our model has successfully been downloaded. So if I just move on to my downloads folder, so here it is. So I will just cut the file from here, go to local disk C inside of users and my user where I have saved that UI. Okay, so here it is. So now here what I will do is I will just come inside of models, stable diffusion, and I will paste in my model right here. So you see it's done. So now you need to make sure that you rename your model to model.ckpt. If you don't rename this file, so for some reason your UI won't be working. So your model is here. Your UI, you have just forked it from like Git. So now what you need to do is you need to run this file. So now we need to run this file. Okay, this window batch file webui.bat. So if I just open this thing, so for the first time, it will take some time because it will load necessary libraries into your system. But when you open it for the second time, so it wouldn't take that much time. Okay, it will just run straight away. So you see it's installing Torch and Torch Vision. So it's installing a bunch of libraries into your system. So for the first time, it's necessary. So it will take a while. Yeah, all right. You can see right over here that the PyTorch is done and it's now installing the other libraries like Ginger2, NumPy, Pillow, and other things. Okay, you can see right over here. Like you can see it install these packages into your system to make sure everything runs fine. All right, everything was done installing, but I get this error like runtime error. Torch is not able to use GPU. Okay, and it says add skip like torch CUDA test to command line args variable to disable this check. For some reason, I'm getting this error because my system has like AMD graphics card. Okay, so I don't have NVIDIA graphics card, so that is recommended for this thing. But don't worry, I will tell you like how to remove all of the errors and how to actually get rid of everything that you need to actually do here.
Alright, so let's see how to get rid of these errors.
So the first thing you need to do is, actually I instructed you to download Python, the latest version of Python, okay? But when I came across this error and I just move on to the GitHub page of this repository, and if I just scroll down, it says like install specifically Python 3.10.6. Like newer version of Python does not support Torch. So this is the main issue first. We need to actually resolve this thing first. To do so, what you need to do is move on to your control panel, okay? And then you need to first uninstall Python 3.11 and Python launcher, okay? And then what you need to do is go to Google and type Python 3.10.6. You need to install this specific version. Just click on Python release, this thing, and then download this window installer 64-bit. Then you just need to run it. Let me show you how you can do it. But first you need to uninstall these both things, okay? So if I just open this thing up, so now what you need to do is you will just get a prompt like of install. Just click on install and click on add to path. Just check add to path down here and click on install. It will be installed for you, okay? I already have installed, so I will cancel this thing out. So the next thing you need to do is you just need to delete this stable diffusion folder. Just get rid of this old folder, come back to CMD, okay? And again type in git clone, and you need to specify the URL again. Just paste the URL here, you'll just press enter and it will again download that specific folder for you, okay? The third thing you need to do is, obviously you just install the folder again. So what you need to do is come back to the model section, okay? You need to import the stable diffusion model once again, okay? Which we downloaded. Like it's here, you can see right over here, we downloaded this file. Just copy this thing, paste it inside of like this folder and just rename it to model.ckpt file. It's all done here. Then what you need to do is you need to again run this file, which is webui dot like Windows batch file. Now, when you will again run this file, what it will do is it will then initialize it according to that thing, okay? Like initialize it according to the Python 3.10.6, okay? So then it will again download Torch and necessary libraries. What it will do is it will then again give you this error. Like Torch is not able to use GPU. So that's not an issue. So you see it just provides me with this thing. Add like this thing to command line args. So what you need to do is just copy this thing, come to this thing like WebUI user Windows batch file, okay? And then show more option and just click on edit. It will open Notepad. So here you need 2 to 3 things, okay? First, you need to add in this thing git pull, because whenever a new update of model will come, so it will update it accordingly. So now here, by default, it would be empty. So you need to add this thing, like which we copied, skip torch CUDA test, okay? So now it will skip the torch CUDA test. So now if you don't have GPU, it doesn't matter. It will work with your CPU. So your CPU should be a high-end system, like having more cores and threads. So you need to add this thing as well, like dash precision full no half. Why? Because if you don't add this thing, so you will get an error of like no half error. If you get that error, you can add this thing as well. So after adding all of this thing, it would be done. So then what you need to do is you actually need to run this file, not this one, okay? Because you can see right over here. So first it will like apply all of these things, okay? Git pull, set python equals, set git equals, set VNV directory equals, set command line equals. Then it will call like webui.bat after setting all of these things, okay? So now you don't need to run this thing. You need to actually run this file, which is webui user.bat. So if I now run this file, you will see like it says unpacking objects and something like that. And now it's launching WebUI with arguments like skip torch CUDA test, like precision full, no half. So now it will take a while and the model will be ready and available to use. So the first line which we add git pull, it's actually showing the response here like already up to date, because our model is already up to date. So now it's giving you an exception. Just ignore this thing because it says no NVIDIA driver on your system, because I don't have any NVIDIA graphics card, okay? So now you see my model is up and running. It just provided you with this URL where you can test out your application. Yeah, like you see, it says model loaded in like 39 seconds, load waits from disk 29.2 seconds, and all of this stuff. So this is the URL which you actually need to take and paste on your browser. If I just copy this URL, come back to my main page and paste my link here, okay? So now your application will be loaded, okay?
Alright, so now we will see
like what Stable Diffusion UI is all about and how you can use it efficiently to create images to showcase your creativity. Our UI is live now. So now the first thing is like you need to choose your model. So I have chosen like model.ckpt, which we downloaded from the internet. It was like 4 gigabytes of the file. So the first thing here in this section is text to image. Okay, the first one is text to image, then there is image to image, then extras, then png info, checkpoint merger, training, setting, and then extension. Okay, so the first thing we will be explaining here today is like text to image. Okay, the first thing here is the prompt, the actual prompt for which you need to create an image. Like in the prompt section, you need to describe what you want to see in the images. For example, you can give in a prompt like a big elephant marching towards jungle, anything. Okay, and the negative prompt is something like you don't want your model to generate. Like this is the do's that you want your model to do, and these are don'ts. Like you can see blur image, the image should not be blur or something like that. So this is like negative prompt. You also need to take care of that thing as well. Okay, so if we talk about sampling method, there are multiple methods you can like explore, but Euler A is the most basic one. So first we can just check the width and height of the images. You can actually make it large or small. So make sure that to start off, you just give like 512 by 512. It is the most effective way to like get the images from your model. Then we have actually the batch size, this thing right over here. Okay, it's the number of images to be generated each time. You want to generate at least a few when testing a prompt because each one will differ. Okay, like if you increase the batch size to like 3 or 4, I recommend to just keep it to 4 because it will produce 4 images for you. After filling all of these things, you can just click on generate button to generate the images. We will be testing that as well. Okay, you can also save the images to your local directory. So that's an important feature. Okay, so that's all you need to know for the basics. The rest of this video will explain each function in more detail. If you're not interested in like technicality of this thing, you can just start generating and that's all for you. If I talk about this thing like stable diffusion checkpoints, you can add in like multiple models. If you want to switch between models, like different models have different outcomes, different purposes. So you can check out different models according to your need. You can download the models from the website Hugging Face. So if you talk about like sampling method in more detail, basically the algorithm for denoising process, like we can use DMP++. Okay, this thing right over here, if I just show you like DMP++ 2M, like this thing. Okay, because it balances speed and quality well. But to start off, you can just choose Euler A. That's totally fine for now. Okay, if you talk about like sampling steps, it means that number of sampling steps for the denoising process, the more the better, but it also takes longer. Okay, if you don't have a high-end GPU installed in your system, it would take like ages. Okay, 25 steps work for the most cases, but at the beginning I would recommend to keep it to 20. That would be totally fine. Okay, we talked about batch size. So if you talk about like batch count, so batch count is number of times you run the image generation pipeline. Obviously, the higher the batch count is, the more time it will take. And the higher the batch count and batch size is, the total number of images generated basically equals the batch count times the batch size. For example, if you have a batch size of 4 and a batch count of 2, it will generate a total of 8 images. Okay, so make sure that as well. Now we will talk about like CFG scale. Actually means classifier free guidance scale. It is a parameter to control how much the model should respect your prompt. If it is 1, it mostly ignores your prompt. If it's 3, it's like being more creative. If it's 7, it means that a good balance between following the prompt and freedom. Okay, so what it would do is it would follow your prompt as well, and at the same time it will be creative as well. If it's 15, so it will like more kind kind of follow your prompt, okay? And if it is like 30 in some case, if you put it like 30, the maximum, so the maximum means that it would like strictly follow your prompt. So make sure that you keep it to 7 when you are starting off. Then you can actually change it and do it according to your need, okay? Then we'll talk about the seed, this thing right over here, okay? The seed value used to generate the initial random tensor in the latent space. Like practically it controls the content of the image. Each image generated has its own seed value, okay? Like this UI will use a random seed value if it is set to -1, okay? Now we have discussed everything in this UI. So now let's try to generate an image, okay? I will give it a prompt like photo of woman with dress like city night background. Background should be like city nightlife, and she must be wearing a bracelet, okay? You can like specify maximum of like 75 words in it, okay? We are not going to provide negative prompt. If we just talk about like sampling method, Euler is fine. Sampling steps 20, width and height 512 cross 512, okay? Batch count 1 and batch size 4. Total it will generate like number of images would be 4. CFG scale would be 7. Seed -1. With these all settings, I'll just go and hit generate, okay? So now if you move on to your this thing right over here, so just says like total like 0 of 20. It would take some time. 0% is done. It's already producing this thing. It will take a while, okay? All right, so the generation is done, but I am afraid like it took a lot of time, okay? So for some reason, if you are using it just on your CPU, and if you're not using GPU, just then you should proceed with like what I can say here, with default setup, okay? Just do not tweak with any parameters, because you can see here like it just took me around like 77 minutes and 30.5 seconds. So it's a lot of time for a single image generation. So you can see the results. They are great. They look like cool and amazing. If I just click on this one, so this is, you know, a complete 4 images, okay? You can save it as well. You can just choose one of them as well. This one doesn't seems good, okay? Eyes are blurred. This one seems kind of great. This one, the face is blurred. So you can actually provide in here, okay? Negative prompts like blurry face. So it would take this actually to generate it, not a blurry face. This one looks cool, okay? So yeah, the art is actually how well you give in a prompt. So that's the thing, okay? And you need to actually fine tune the parameters as well. So that's the basic, actually the walkthrough of this thing.
Alright, so I hope you got the idea like how this thing works and how to use it to generate images, okay?
I think that marks the end of this video. Already this is like going too long. So I hope you like this one. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I shall catch you up in the next one. Till then, have a good day. Bye.